Hello, friends and fellow stargazers. Today we are going to be looking at printing in Parashara's Light, specifically the three different options where you can print. I'm Tahia, Vedic astrologer and educator, here to bring you tips and tutorials on Parashara's Light 9.0. Before we step into the light, I did want to address that printing on Parashara's Light is not really intuitive and you kind of have to hunt for it. So if you're having challenges with printing, you're not alone. It's a little bit of investigative work to figure out some of the print functions and how they work. I also wanted to let you know there are some differences between the Mac and the PC. When it comes to the Mac, there's some different options how you can save as a PDF. I will be pivoting to a Mac to show you where the differences are highlighted, but the majority of this demo will be on a PC. So with that said, let's jump into the light. I'm going to start by saying there's three options in the menu bar where you can print from, and then I'm going to do a little bit of a deeper dive into each of them. So the first option is the File menu. And you can see I've highlighted where your print options are in the File menu. The next option is the Reports dropdown. And you can see here, there's a list of reports. And then if you highlight each report, these are the pages of each report. The last option that I found was the Print menu. And you can see the different options here. Let's take this one at a time and let's start with File. There's four main options. I'm going to start with the easiest one, which is Copy Screen to Clipboard. So if we click on this, you'll get a pop-up window that says Pictures Placed on Clipboard. What I found was the easiest way to print was literally to go to either a Google Doc, a Word doc, and just right-click and hit Paste, and you'll see that birth chart and that screen or worksheet that we were on popped up. Let's go back to Parashara's Light, and let's click on another worksheet. I'm going to click on Vargas, and if we do the same thing, go to File, click on Copy Screen to Clipboard. The same pop-up window opens up, click OK, go back to that Word document, right-click, click on Paste, you'll see the Vargas popped up. I think this is the easiest way to print because you can pretty much at this point print your Google Doc or your Word doc. And if you're working in Google Docs, you have different tabs that you can put the different worksheets or charts in. That's the first and literally the easiest option I found. We're going to go back to the File menu, and there's two options here, Print Screen and Print Setup. If you click on either one of these, it's going to bring up the same print configuration menu. And this is where you would configure your printer, which may be different for each of us depending on the machine we're on, and you could print from this option. I'm going to pivot here for a second and go to Parashara's Light on a Mac and just show you what those two options look like on a Mac because they're slightly different. And if we go to File and we click on either one of these screens called Print Screen or Print Setup, you see the pop-up window comes up in a little bit of a different way. We're going to look at this drop-down here called PDF. And if you click on this, you'll see that there's different options. So let's look at the first one, which is Save as a PDF. We click on that. You see here, there's the option to save this. I'm going to just save this as test one. And you can now save this chart as a PDF and then access it later when you need to. Looking at the second option, which is Open in Preview, you'll see in the preview window that that specific worksheet opened up. That's how the preview works. Save as PostScript and Save as Web Receipts. This seems to come from legacy settings when you would actually send it to a print shop or to some sort of application. Save to iCloud Drive. This would actually save in your iCloud Drive. That's pretty straightforward. And then Send in Mail. This is if you wanted to attach the chart as a PDF and it would send via whatever mail configuration you had set up on your device, whether that's Gmail, Outlook, etc. In Edit menu, if we click on this configuration comes up and it has options here how you could save this. I'm guessing this may piggyback onto one of the other default settings. So that's the main difference on the Mac is this option here where you can save it in different formats. And now we're back to the PC. The last option on the File menu is something called Model Printing. And I'm going to be super honest, guys. I tested this out on both the Mac and the PC, and I couldn't for the life of me figure this one out. If you click on OK, it brings up a chart. And even if I put test in there just to test this out, and I click OK, it goes to the printer configuration. And whether I click print or cancel, I get that error message, and then I get the option to save that chart. I wanted to just show you and kind of walk you through what happens when you click on this. I'm going to click out of this, and now I'm going to move to the second option where you can print, and this is reports. And if we click on reports, you'll see a drop down of different reports. And each of these sections is an actual page of the report. So if we just click on this first one, you'll see this brings up the birth chart. And if we scroll, it brings up Chandralagna, the Navamsha, and other planetary information. And if you click on these arrows over here, this goes to the next page of the report. And you can go backwards or forwards. If you try to copy this, it actually just copies this part right here. It doesn't copy the charts or tables. It actually needs text for this to be copied. And then if you go to help, this brings up the Parashara's Light help menu. And if you click on print, you get the same pop-up menu for you to print to your local printer. The third option to print is actually under print itself. And you can see the list of drop downs here. The first one we're going to go to is user-defined printout, and we're going to go to something called design tool. And what this is an older tool that was probably used a lot more on the legacy platforms or previous versions of Parashara's Light to customize a layout. So instead of going to your reports, which have already been pre-configured with charts, you can create a report or you can create your own layout from here. Let's, for example, click on this first dropdown, and I created some just to test this out earlier. You'll see the dropdown has a bunch of deleted, and I'm thinking they may have had configurations in previous versions that they removed. Let's click on deleted, and this comes up. And now what we do next is we click on new printout, and you can change the name here. So I'm going to call this test 2. And then from this, we click on add chart. And now you see a table pop up, and there's different charts you can add here. And what it is, it's almost in different sections or subsections. And what I mean by this is if we click on birth chart and Vargas, you'll see a list of the actual Vargas come up. Let's just pick the first one. And now it's going to say from the Janma, what do we want to see? An actual chart, a chart with degrees. So let's just click on chart with degrees, and now we're going to click OK. And you can see that came up here. To see this a little bit more clearly, we're going to click on the full page drop down and go to enlarged, and you can see this a little bit more clearly. Now let's say we want to add something else to this. So we're going to go back to add chart, and let's say I want to add the moon chart. And you see again, we have options what we want to add with the moon chart. I'm going to click on planetary details, and now it's going to say from that more options here. So let's click on nakshatras. Now we're going to click on OK. And you can see the nakshatras popped up here, but it looks confusing. But what you can actually do is move it down. So you scroll down and you can move this down here. And now you have a list of nakshatras. I tried clicking on Snap on Grid, but you can still move this. So I'm not really sure how that works or if it's effective as of now. And if we click OK, and now we go back to print, you'll see that test 2 we created is right here. If you guys want, you can definitely use that option to create your own customized layouts. The other options under print are print model and print default set. If we go to print model, you'll see a pop-up window open with different options and drop-downs here. So let's take this one at a time. The first one is called group. And if we look at the drop downs, we see we have some options here. So first of all, what is group? Group is simply a group or category of different reports. And you see here, we've got horoscope, compatibility, Varshafal, Prasna, and then a bunch of miscellaneous. The next drop down is called model. And model is really kind of the older term for a template or a layout. If we click here, we have even more drop downs, and they're abbreviated. These abbreviations I couldn't find in the Parashara's Light manual, but logically speaking, I think it's something like Pocket Horoscope 1, 2, Horoscope Comprehensive 1, 2, 3, 4, KP for Krishnamurti 1, 2, and then you have additional options for all of the above that I stated. And within each group, you also have different models. The models change depending on what group you select. Then you have something here called selected printouts. You can see here that it says the pocket horoscope is 24 pages, and each of these are the different sections. So where it says 1, 2, 3, 4, it's not actually page 1, page 2, etc. It seems to revert to a section. So if we click on this, for example, and we click on Print Preview, you will see that some Vargas come up for this chart. And if you use the back and forth arrows here, you'll see that it'll go to the next section and so forth. If we click on Edit, this allows you to customize the printout for that specific group and model, and it also allows you to change the name. So where you have available printouts versus selected printouts, these are the default printouts that would go with this specific group and model. And if we click Remove All, it would remove all of these. And then if you clicked here, this would bring this over and you could start customizing your printouts. Full transparency, I don't use the printing options here. I don't find them very intuitive. I find them actually hard to navigate through and a little bit clunky. If I do need to capture anything, I would actually use a screen capture functionality on either the Mac or the PC and copy and paste it to a Google Doc, a Word doc, etc. Moving through these, print default set is the same thing that came up in the very beginning, and this is PC specific. If you were on a Mac, it would look like this. If we continue through the print options, and if we click on Dashas, we click on this first option, you can see here we have a list of Dashas that show up. Moving forward to Ephemeris, note that there's no to and from with the date or time. This pretty much gives you a snapshot for what's going on right now for the next couple of weeks. This went from today's date all the way down to May 11th. There wasn't any way to customize that. This seems to be the natural occurrence of how the Ephemeris works. The remaining menu items under print, which are Panchanga, Krishnamurti, Transit, and Dasha report. These are specific reports that you would print if you were looking for them, and they print in the same way that we just discussed. I hope that was helpful in understanding how to print on Parashara's Light. Thanks so much for stopping by. Keep shining your light, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.